Good day, young lady.
Good day.
Are you Amelia?
Yes, any problem.
So, you are Amelia.
Julian shouted, and took the glass of wine on the table, and emptied the content on the lady.
When next you see someone's husband, run for your life.
Madam, are you insane?
You are the one who is insane.
Amelia quickly retorted and gave Julian a resounding slap on her face. Julian's fists quickly flew in a flurry of punches towards Amelia, but she dodged them, and quickly countered with swift kicks and punches. They fought fiercely, each hit fueled by their strong dislike for each other. They created a scene, as people funnily watched from afar, while some courageous ones rushed to separate them. They were pulled apart, both gasping for breath. The two women engaged in a clash of words, their voices escalating in anger, as they explained to their listeners what brought about their fight. The restaurant was still chaotic when Isaac walked in. He saw people gathered, chattering and trying so hard to settle an issue. He didn't bother going to check what was going on, he was more concerned about his guest who was supposed to be waiting for him there. So he ignored the crowd and looked around to see if he could see the one. He couldn't see the one, so he took out his phone from his pocket to call the person. As he was searching through his phone, he heard a familiar voice in the crowd. He put the phone back in his pocket, and went closer to find out who it was. As he got there, he was shocked and in disbelief to see his wife in the crowd looking tattered, and speaking uncontrollably. He became deeply uncomfortable. He quickly went and pulled her away from the crowd to a private corner. The crowd in mixed reactions started dispersing. Amelia saw him leaving with Julian.
Isaac
didn't turn. Amelia quickly understood he was the man Julian was referring to. She stood there gazing at them, and looking pitifully.
What is going on? Why are you looking like this? What are you doing here?
Leave me alone.
Please tell me what happened.
Is it not your fault?
How?
Who is she?
Julian queried, pointing at Amelia who was standing at a distance. Isaac turned and saw Amelia gazing at them, and looking remorseful. He then faced his wife.
Julian. What did you do? Hope it's not what I'm thinking?
Amelia turned and left immediately. Isaac pulled his wife by the hand, and they went outside. They walked to his car, entered, and headed home. They didn't speak to each other again afterwards. As soon as they got into the house, Isaac took his wife to the living room, and they both sat on the couch.
You went to fight an innocent girl?
Don't ever put the blame on me. Oh, she's now an innocent girl and I am the mad person.
Please, there's nothing going on between the both of us.
Liar. Even when evidence is everywhere.
Honestly, I'm not having an affair with her.
Julian went ahead to present every of her evidence to prove her claims.
Babe, I'm sorry, but you misunderstood the whole thing. I was with her that night but didn't touch her.
Another fat lie from the pit of hell. How? How on earth would you be with a lady in a hotel throughout the night without doing anything to her?
I will tell you all that happened.
Amelia and Isaac were in the hotel room. Amelia had finished bathing, and was tying a white short towel around her chest. Isaac had been on his laptop since the door was closed.
I hope you didn't bring me here to waste my time.
Give me some minutes, please.
Okay.
After some minutes, Isaac was still on his laptop. Amelia became impatient.
Mister, you are wasting my time.
Isaac closed his laptop and turned to her.
How much do you charge per night?
$30.
Isaac became furious but didn't express it. He picked up his phone and unlocked it.
Your account details.
Amelia called out her account details immediately. In no time, her phone beeped, indicating she had received the alert.
Mister, I said $30, I'm seeing a different amount. You sent $300. Wow, you are so rich. It's just going to be me and you this night. I will extend the time just for you.
She quickly rushed to start the work, but Isaac retorted.
Amelia, I'm sorry, I can't do anything with you.
Why? You have paid.
Now. Can we talk?
Talk. About what?
About you. I want to know why you are doing this.
I'm just using it to help myself and my poor family.
I believe there's more about you than just this. You have potential beyond what you're doing now.
Why do you care? No one has ever said this to me since I started this work.
Amelia, you don't have to live like this. This life you are leaving, it's not what God wants for you. Your body is a temple, and prostituting yourself is a sin against God and yourself. You were made for so much more. In 1 Corinthians, it says, "Flee from sexual immorality." All other sins a person commits are outside the body, but whoever sins sexually, sins against their own body. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. I believe everyone deserves a chance to grow and change. I see something special in you that goes beyond this. I want to help you realize it.
Tears rolled down Amelia's cheeks.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. Good people still exist in this world.
You are welcome. So, do you have any business ideas or other things you would like me to help you with?
Sir, give me some time. I need to think about it.
Okay, go to bed and have some rest.
Thank you, sir.
Amelia then wore back her dress and went to bed, while Isaac continued what he was doing.
That was what happened. I don't know how else to prove to you that I'm not having anything with her. I want to go back to the office.
Julian hissed and left for the bedroom, while her husband left for his workplace. Before the close of work, Isaac was in his office, arranging some files scattered on his table. He neatly moves the stack to one end of his table. He pulled the drawer, and was searching through it. Suddenly, he heard a knock at the door. He asked the person to come in. The door was opened, and a nurse entered.
Sir, a patient who just arrived wants to see you.
I have something very important and urgent at home that I need to attend to. Please tell the patient to see Humberto.
Okay, sir.
He said as he continued what he was doing. The nurse left immediately. Soon after, Isaac carried his bag and left the office. He purposely wanted to get home earlier that day, due to the rift that took place earlier. Some minutes later, he drove into his compound. He opened the car door, and didn't see his beautiful wife coming out to welcome him, with a warm smile. He wasn't expecting it either. He understood her grievances. So, he alighted from his car and closed the door. He went to the entrance and knocked as usual, but nobody answered him. After several knocks, he looked down, and saw the direction of the knob, and realized it was actually locked from outside. He brought out his spare keys and opened the lock. The door creaked open, and he entered. He felt an oppressive silence as he strolled into the bedroom. Suddenly, he was greeted with a heavy shock. The wardrobe was wide open, and most of his wife's wares were missing. His wife packed her belongings and moved out.
How could she leave without telling me? Didn't she believe me enough? We could have talked it out?
He soliloquized, while looking around the bedroom. He became worried. He dropped his bag at its usual place, picked up his phone, and sat on the bed. He then dialed Julian's number, but she didn't pick up. He tried severally, but she still didn't pick up. Soon after, he dialed Julian's mother's number, and she picked up straight away.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, my in-law. How are you?
I'm fine, Mama.
My son, are you there?
Yes, Ma. I
I was waiting for your call. Your wife is here.
She's there with you?
Yes.
She didn't even inform me before leaving.
I know. I didn't want to call you either, because I suspected you would be in the office.
I'm just coming back to realize that she isn't here, and her things are gone. We had an issue, and instead of sorting it out together, she left the house.
Do not worry, my son. I will ensure she comes back soon, and everything will be fine.
Okay, Mama, thanks so much.
You are welcome. Good night.
Good night, Mama. My regards to my wife.
All right, she will hear.
In no time, his stomach started growling in hunger. Knowing fully well that preparing dinner would be the last thing on Julian's mind, he didn't bother going to the kitchen. He went and opened the fridge, picked a loaf of bread, and a soft drink. He opened the loaf, brought out some slices, and munched, washing them down with gulps of the soda. Soon after, he removed his shirt and lay on the bed. A couple of hours later, Isaac was in hypnagogia when his phone started ringing. He slowly took it up, and picked up the call.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Amelia. Any problem?
Please, I'm sorry for what happened at the restaurant. I believe there's a misconception somewhere. I never knew she was your wife. She didn't tell me about you. I thought she was the wife of one of my clients. I'm so sorry, sir.
It's okay. I understand.
Please, can I speak to her?
She's not here.
I guess she's still very much angry, or you don't want me to speak to her.
No. She left for her parents' house.
Is it because of what happened?
I think so. I came back and didn't meet her here. I had to call her mother, who told me she was with her.
I'm so sorry about everything.
No problem.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
It was around pre-dawn of the following day at Julian's village. Voices of women leaving for the village market were heard from a distance, likewise the distant bleating of goats, and other small animals' noises. Julian lay on a medium-sized brown mattress, covering her body with a bedsheet. She was still enjoying her early morning sleep. Her mother swung the door open and walked in. She was all dressed. She watched Julian for a moment, before going to sit at the edge of her bed. She then tapped her gently. Julian, wake up. Julian, still feeling drowsy, struggled to get up from bed, battling the urge to stay under her bedsheet cover for eternity. Julian, please get up. She then sat up on the bed, while mumbling a sleepy greeting to her mother. Good morning, my daughter. Sorry that I disturbed your sleep.
No problem, Mama. Are you going out?
Yes, I want to go and sell some of the corn from our last harvest. I told you I had excess, and I wouldn't want them to spoil.
Okay.
I want us to talk before I leave.
Okay.
You still haven't told me the reason you left your husband's house. Tell me what the problem is, so that we can settle it, and you will go back. My daughter, please tell me. Julian then went ahead and explained to her mother all that had happened so far, as well as her insinuations. I have heard you, and I understand how you feel. However, I think it is not enough reason for you to leave. You both need to come together and settle your differences. This isn't the best way to go about this issue. Again, you are wrong to fight a lady over a man. There are better ways to resolve issues than fighting.
Mama, I was so annoyed that all I thought of was to fight.
What if he is saying the truth?
Which truth? Mama, he is a liar. Why did he come to that restaurant? Is it not to meet the girl?
I don't know the truth here, but this is a challenge that you need to sort out with your partner. I want you to get prepared and go back to your husband's house.
Mama, I'm not going anywhere.
What is your problem? Should I tell him to come over?
I don't even want to see him at all. If at all he must see me, he must crawl on his hands and knees to beg for my forgiveness.
It is your home we are talking about here, Julian. Seems you are not ready for this thing called marriage. Let me start going, before I miss my potential buyers.
Bye, Mama.
Her mother gazed at her without saying a word, as if there was something strange about her. After that, her mother left for the market. Julian got up and left the room. Later that morning, in the room, Julian lay down loosely, with her arms and legs spread all over the bed, as if she had missed the space since she moved into her husband's house. She had finished the necessary morning chores, and had equally had her breakfast. Suddenly, someone called her name from outside. She quickly got up, and left expectingly for the living room entrance door.
Tracy, Julian, I thought you were joking when you said you were at home. I was going to the market to get a few things. I said let me confirm what you said. My sister, I wasn't joking. I actually came back with my property. Wait, let me sit down. So, you mean you left your husband's house? Yes. Why?
Julian went on to present all her reasons for leaving her home.
That's very nice of you. High five. I admire your courage. I would do the same if I were in your shoes. You see, if every woman should behave like you, men won't take us for granted. Yes. For that girl, I would say you didn't do well by giving her the opportunity to fight with you. Really? Yes. How much is acid? You should have just bought a small quantity and disfigured her face. Let me see how he will attract your husband again. I acted in anger. That's what I would have done. Your husband needs to realize your worth before you go back to that house. I'm not even going anywhere. My friend, it's good if that's your choice. You are still very much beautiful. You will soon get a catch. Please. Let me rush to the market. I will talk to you later. Okay.
They both walked out of the house. Julian saw her off to the road leading to the market, before they parted ways. Julian's mother was seated on a single old sofa, in her scantily furnished but neat bedroom. A rubber plate containing melon seeds, yet to be peeled, lay forgotten on top of a nearby small wooden table. She was holding a phone close to her right ear, and was cheerfully speaking to someone. The lines on her face, normally etched with worry concerning Julian's issue, suddenly softened. She was so engrossed in the discussion that he left everything which may have distracted to conversation. Some minutes later, Julian walked into the room gently and stood beside her mother. She listened carefully as a deep male voice rumbled over her mother's phone. In no time, Julian detected the voice as that of her husband. Julian's mother, on noticing her daughter's presence, quickly concluded the conversation with the caller. Julian, perceiving that her mother would come with a long sermon on the reasons she should go back to her husband's house, turned and left immediately. Later in the day, Julian and her mother were in the kitchen preparing dinner. They discussed as usual, but Julian's mother didn't bring up any topic concerning Julian and her husband as Julian expected. Julian was surprised, but remained unflappable. A couple of days later, in the evening at Isaac's apartment, Isaac came out from the bedroom, and headed to the living room. It's not too long since he came back from work. He was carrying a restaurant nylon bag. As soon as he got to the living room, he picked up the television remote control, and turned on the flat-screen television mounted slightly above the media console. Immediately, the warm glow of the television cast a flickering dance across the living room. Isaac then sat down on the couch, and opened the plastic nylon bag he carried. He gently brought out a covered plastic plate, accompanied by a small plastic spoon. He opened the plate, and started consuming the contents, as he focused his attention on the football match, playing on the television screen. This was how he's been coping since his wife left. He would leave his office immediately after the close of work, drive to his favorite restaurant, and get himself some food for the night. Soon after, he was done eating the meal. He put the empty plate and spoon into the nylon bag, and carried it to the kitchen. Upon his return, he heard a knock at his door. He wondered who it was that would visit him by that time. Even though it wasn't too late, he wasn't expecting anyone. He suspected it was his wife. He went and opened the door gently. He was surprised to see Amelia standing at his entrance innocuously.
Amelia, what are you doing here?
Good evening, sir. Can I come in?
Sure, I was just surprised to see you.
Oh,
They both entered and sat on the living room couch.
How did you know this place?
I asked someone close to you, because I know you wouldn't tell me.
Who is that?
Never mind.
Okay.
I know you would be surprised to see me.
Yes, I am.
I'm sorry for coming at this time, it's because this is the only time I can find you at home.
It's okay. So, what brought you to my house?
I just came to check up on you, and also know if I can help you with anything.
That's very nice of you. But I don't need any help for now.
I know you wouldn't admit you need help. I'm just here to help out in any way I can. I'm doing this because you saw a better person in me, even though I haven't told you my plans. I don't want to feel like a bad person by ignoring you at this trying time. I know what you are thinking about, that's not why I'm here. As a matter of fact, I haven't gone to work since the day you dropped me off. If you don't have anything that I can do for you, then I'll go.
Honestly, I don't need anyone's assistance now.
Okay, let me go. Don't hesitate to call me if you need me for anything.
Alright. Thanks so much for your concern.
You are welcome.
Sorry, I didn't offer you anything, I just finished the food I bought not too long ago.
No problem.
Isaac stood, and they both walked out of the house. He saw her off to the gate, and she left from there. Isaac watched her leave until he lost sight of her. He was glad that someone checked up on him, at that challenging time, but was still doubtful on the purpose of the visitation, maybe because he knew what Amelia was into before then. He turned and went back to the apartment afterwards. Around 7 a.m., Isaac was all dressed up, and was wearing some sweet-scented perfumes. In recent times, he leaves for work earlier than usual, since he gets up early, but doesn't prepare any meals. He had made it a habit to patronizing food vendors in his area, whenever he was in need of it. He took his bag and was about to leave, when he heard a gentle knock on his door. He reached for the door and opened it. He was delighted to see Amelia again. She stood at his entrance smiling graciously, and holding a basket with some contents.
Amelia.
Good morning, sir.
I hope all is well.
Yeah, I got something for you.
Amelia said, bringing out a bag containing 2 rubber plates of food, from the basket. Isaac was dumbfounded. She gave the bag to Isaac, and he gladly collected them.
Thank you so much, Amelia.
Sorry that I came this early. I don't like the way you buy food outside. I made this one specially for you. It can serve the whole day.
That's so thoughtful of you. Thank you so much.
You are welcome, have a nice day.
So soon?
Yes, I want to go and see my mother.
Okay, thanks so much.
You are welcome, sir.
She's such a nice girl. I don't know she's this thoughtful. What could have made her stoop so low to such a lifestyle?
He soliloquized, as he carried the food into the living room. Isaac then kept his bag aside, and opened the bag. He gently brought out the plates and opened them. One contained fried chicken and sauce, while the other contained fried rice, almost filled to the brim, with its vibrant aroma that teased his nostrils. The aroma was nose-blinding. Isaac was already salivating, and couldn't resist eating the food no more. He couldn't help but have a taste of it.
As if she knew I hadn't eaten anything today.
He quickly went into the kitchen, washed his hands, and got a plate and spoon. As soon as he got back to the living room, he scooped a reasonable quantity of the rice into the plate, and brought out 2 laps of chicken. He devoured them like a hungry lion. After eating to his satisfaction, he kept the remnants in the freezer, washed his hands, and left for his office. This happened a couple of days after Amelia's last visit. Some days later, in Julian's mother's sitting room, Julian was sitting beside her mother, who was busy separating some melon seeds from their chaffs. Julian looked sad and overwhelmed.
Mama, are you seeing the type of man I married?
What happened?
He hasn't asked after me, nor even come to see me.
Were you not the one who said you don't want to see him?
Yes, I said that, but he should have come to beg.
If you miss him, go back to him. After all, he didn't send you out.
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, stop bothering me concerning the matter.
Okay, I won't bother you anymore.
Julian said and left the sitting room. She was worried, but didn't want her mother to notice it. The following day, just before noon, Julian was in her room checking her phone. Her mother had left for the village market. Suddenly, her phone started ringing. She saw that it was Tracy, so she picked it up immediately. They exchanged greetings.
You won't believe who is with me now.
Who is the person, please?
Victor.
Victor. Which Victor?
Ah, Julian, you're Victor.
Okay, I remember. Where did you both meet?
He came to get something around my place. Let me give him the phone to speak to you.
Longest time, Julian.
Yeah, it's been a while.
You've forgotten about me.
Not like that.
Your friend told me you are in town. Can we see?
No.
Why?
I'm busy with something.
Just make out a little time for us to see. It's not a big deal. We are not enemies, are we? Are you there?
Yes.
Please think about what I said. We will talk some other time, okay?
Okay.
Soon after, Tracy collected the phone, and then spoke for a moment, before ending the call. Julian became emotional.
Isaac, my friend, you have started hiding things from me. I was not expecting this type of behavior from you.
Hide what exactly? Please, make me understand what you are talking about.
I saw Amelia on my way coming to work, and she said she was coming from your house.
Oh, Amelia. Do you know her that well?
Yes, very well. Are you guys together now?
No, please. She brought something to me.
What did she bring?
Food.
You said you guys are not together. Why will she bring you food that early in the morning? As who? Even me who knows her very well has never tasted her food.
Humberto, she's just a harmless friend.
What of your wife?
She traveled.
What are you now saying? Your wife traveled, and Amelia is visiting you. Please say the truth.
Amelia is like my younger sister.
Amelia is not a sister to you, and she doesn't take you as her brother. So stop deceiving yourself.
You are misunderstanding this whole thing.
Let's assume what you said is true, that you both aren't having anything, right? That girl isn't coming close to you for nothing. Tell her what she wants to hear, and she will automatically become yours.
You will not understand, my friend.
I understand everything, just ask her out, and she will accept. That girl loves you so much.
I will not do that. I have no feelings for her at all.
You too dull for my liking. I don't know why I don't get this type of opportunity in my life.
It is not an opportunity, my friend. I believe my meeting her is for a purpose, and I will not abuse that. It's like you always forgetting that I'm a married man. A responsible one at that. God doesn't support adultery, and neither do I.
You're really bringing God into this.
Absolutely. God's word is clear on this. But a man who commits adultery has no sense. Whoever does so destroys himself. And marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure, for God will judge the adulterer, and all the sexually immoral. Humberto, women are not objects to be used for our own pleasure. They are to be respected, cherished, and honored. The Bible says, husbands, in the same way be considerate as you live with your wives, and treat them with respect, as the weaker partner, and as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life. so that nothing will hinder your prayers. Think about your own mother, Humberto. How would you feel if someone treated her like that? Women are our mothers, our sisters, our wives, and our daughters. They deserve our respect, not betrayal.
Continue deceiving yourself.
Okay.
Soon after, they switched to another topic, and after a brief discussion, Humberto left. Some days later, at Julian's mother's place, Julian was in the living room standing before a standing mirror, looking all excited. Her mother had left for the women's organization meeting, which usually doesn't have a specific time of dismissal. They stay as long as they have the strength to settle the differences brought to their notice. So Julian was neatly dressed in one of her favorite casual outfits. She stood in front of the mirror, admiring the beautiful outfit on her perfect figure. Soon after, she started applying some light makeup on her face. The previous night, Julian and Victor were in a phone conversation, and they spoke at length. They spent almost an hour reminiscing, until a comfortable ease settled between them. Victor begged to see her, but she retorted. He continued his plea, till she agreed on a condition, which was that they would meet at an open place, no home visitation. They had chosen to meet that day, so Julian was getting ready to go and see him. She had also tried as much as she could, to justify her actions.
I'm not doing anything wrong, as long as I'm not going to sleep with him. Besides, my husband thinks he's the only one that can do as he likes. No problem, this will take my attention away from him, and I'll see if he won't come here crawling and begging for me to come back. Victor is just a friend, and nothing more.
She soliloquized. When Julian was satisfied with the way she looked, she locked the door, and left for the stated venue. Victor was Julian's village boyfriend, before she got admitted into the college. Julian started giving him distance, when she felt she deserved a better man. She finally separated from him, when she accepted to marry Isaac. Julian had been avoiding him like a plague, since she got married until then. She decided to meet him in public, where they would just talk like normal friends. Their meeting venue was just a stone's throw from Tracy's place, which Julian was comfortable with. As soon as she got there, she saw Victor already seated on a chair. Julian's heart started skipping. Her instinct suggested she was doing something wrong, but she hushed that tiny voice speaking negation. Victor quickly stood up citing her. They exchanged greetings with warm eye contact, and then embraced each other passionately. In no time, Julian quickly pulled off from him, when she felt the hugging was getting longer than normal. Afterwards, they both sat on the chair to talk. Julian and Victor sat on a chair, in the open area conversing, trying to meet up with the memories they missed. They spoke under a delicious tension mixed with excitement, and a touch of fear, for close to 2 hours. One could easily tell that the two were close friends, before their separation. Their stolen glances, and shared laughs, felt like a secret language, only they understood, even though they spoke like mere friends. Soon after, a comfortable silence settled between them. It seemed they had finally realized they had talked for too long.
I can't explain how happy I am, speaking with you after this long time.
Me too.
I hope we will get to do this again some other time.
I hope so.
Hopefully, before you return to the city.
I don't even know when that would happen.
No worries. I'm always available for you.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
They both stood up. Victor held her hands and looked directly into her eyes, sending messages in unspoken words.
Thanks for coming around.
Julian, on the other hand, was about reciprocating the message of the unspoken words, when a girl in her early 20s interrupted her.
Victor.
Julian turned to see who it was. The girl looked young but arrogant.
Mirabelle, what are you doing here?
Oh, this is the girl you have been sleeping with.
It's not what you were thinking.
Okay, madam, what are you doing with my boyfriend? Tell me.
Julian couldn't say a word. She was so embarrassed that she couldn't challenge the girl. Victor dragged her to a corner, and was trying to make her stop talking.
Mirabelle, what is wrong with you? What is the meaning of this?
Leave me alone. See the auntie you are following about.
Julian watched as the girl ran her mouth, saying all sorts of unthinkable words to her. The girl could pass for Julian's younger sibling, but she blamed herself for what was happening to her. All the romantic feelings and attractions she felt moments ago, all vanished into the thin air. Julian looked around and noticed that they were about to create a scene. She gently walked away from the place.
I don't like what you did. See how you embarrassed that woman. Don't you know she's a married woman?
He. Abomination. A married woman.
The girl shouted and turned to see Julian.
Why did she leave? I thought she said it's not what I'm thinking. Where is she now?
You are satisfied now, right?
The girl hissed, and walked out of the place quickly. Victor gently left following her direction. A few minutes later, Julian got back to her mother's house. She rushed to open the door, and noticed it was still locked. It was a feeling of relief for her. She didn't want her mother to even know she stepped out of the house that day. She picked up the key from where it was usually kept, and opened the door. She went in and quickly changed her dress. She then picked up her phone and dialed Tracy's number. She picked up immediately, and she told her all that had happened.
What sort of nonsense is that? Where are you now?
I'm at home already.
You should have come straight to my house.
My sister. I couldn't even say anything. I was so ashamed, that the only thing in my mind was to go home.
The girl must be insane. You should have let me know on time, so that I'll come immediately.
That isn't necessary. Am I fighting over a man? Have you forgotten that I'm somebody's wife?
Please.
My dear, this girl insulted the hell out of me. She spoke to me as if I was a nobody.
We can trace her and deal with her.
I don't want more trouble, please. I will not even see him again next time.
Is it because of what happened?
I just want to be on my own for now.
Okay.
While they were speaking, Julian heard her mother's voice from a distance. She was exchanging pleasantries with the neighbors.
Tracy, we will talk later. My mother is back from the women's organization meeting.
Okay, talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Julian said, and ended the call. Soon after, her mother walked into the compound. Julian went outside to welcome her. They both went back into the house to discuss how their day was going. Julian was careful enough not to mention that she went out. A few days later, around 10 in the night, Julian was in bed, waiting for sleep. Her mother, who was the only one in the house with her, had fallen asleep. She had no other option than to go to bed. She kept her phone under her pillow, when she got tired of pressing it. Soon after, her phone started ringing from under the pillow. She quickly put her hand there, and brought it out. She quickly sat up and gazed at her phone screen with a sense of validation and satisfaction. Isaac was the one calling.
He's finally calling. He should have waited. This thing I did works. I won't even answer him. He thinks I don't have sense.
As she soliloquized, the phone continued ringing nonstop. After ringing several times, and she didn't pick up, the call stopped coming. Julian was so happy because what she so wished for was beginning to happen, and she didn't want to appear too eager to reconcile with her husband. She wants to ensure that her perspective is acknowledged and respected.
Isaac, you can do better. You must come here crawling and begging for forgiveness, before I will listen to you.
She then switched off the phone and put it back under the pillow, and laid back to sleep. A few minutes later, her mother started calling Julian from her room.
Julian. Julian.
Julian was startled, and quickly got down from her bed.
Yes, Mom.
She shouted, and quickly headed to the door. Before she could get to her door, her mother entered. She looked worried. Julian, what have you done?
Mama, what is it?
This is not how I raised you. Why are you bringing shame upon me?
Mama, please stop. Tell me what's wrong.
Your husband called.
Oh, that. I didn't want to pick up his calls.
Julian, you have killed me.
Is it now an abomination not to pick some people's calls?
Who did you fight with over a man?
Jesus, Mama, who told you that?
Your husband said he got a report that you fought a girl over a man.
Mama, that's not true.
He said he even has picture evidence.
My enemies are at work, Mama.
Did you fight anybody anywhere?
I did not fight anybody, Mama. Jesus, who is doing this to me?
Do you remember anything?
Mama, I didn't fight the girl.
Which girl?
I was just speaking to Victor, and a girl came shouting that I'm seeing her man. I tried to make her understand it wasn't what she was thinking, but she didn't listen. I left afterwards. I didn't even exchange words with her, let alone fight.
You made a mistake by going to see him. Don't you know you are somebody's wife?
We were just talking like ordinary friends.
Which one is talking like ordinary friends, when you know that you both have had something before? You should have stayed back. Have you forgotten why you came back? This will just complicate the whole issue.
Mama, what do I do?
Let's talk about it tomorrow.
Mama, I'm finished.
Her mother left for her room at once. Julian went and sat on her bed, her heart racing. She couldn't concentrate.
Who could be behind this? Let me tell Tracy about this. Maybe she will help me figure it out.
She picked up her phone, switched it on, and started dialing Tracy's number. It rang and she didn't pick up. She tried more times, but she still didn't pick up.
Maybe she's sleeping.
She laid back to the bed pondering over the issue, till she slept. The following morning, around 7, Julian tried Tracy's number more times, but she didn't pick up. She sneaked out of her room, and left the house without informing her mother. She was headed to Tracy's house. She wanted to inform her about what her mother told her, the previous night. She believed she may have a clue about whoever was behind the issues. So, few minutes later, she was close to Tracy's place. As she approached the compound, she was shocked at what she saw. Tracy, and her husband, were engaged in a heated combat, both of them yelling and insulting each other on top of their voices. People around cared less about them. Julian stood at a corner watching them. Tracy didn't notice her presence.
Bad woman, get out of my house.
Me, Tracy, leave this house. It will not happen, useless man.
Are you not the one who made me useless?
Am I the one giving you alcohol? Go look for a job. You said no.
Do you appreciate anything I do for you and the children? Just leave my life. Let me have peace for once.
A chill ran down Julian's spine, as she watched. Tracy seemed to be a different person at home, and all she saw didn't correspond to what Tracy had made her believe. Julian, overwhelmed by the scene, turned and left for her mother's place. Julian's steps, usually purposeful and quick, were slow and heavy, as she walked into her mother's compound. She had forgotten that she sneaked out earlier, while leaving the house. Her eyes were clouded, reflecting the disappointment she had witnessed earlier. Just before she could enter the living room, her mother approached her from the room. Her mother became worried at the sight of her daughter's state.
Good morning, Mama.
Morning, my daughter. I've been searching everywhere for you. I even called your phone, but it rang from your room. Where have you been?
I went to see Tracy.
Is everything all right? What happened to Tracy?
She and her husband were having a serious scuffle. They were yelling and abusing each other.
Is that why you look like this?
Mama, Tracy deceived me.
How? What happened?
Mama, she deceived me. Do you know all the things she had been telling me about marriage that I've been following? Tracy told me that when I leave my matrimonial home, My husband will value and respect me, but she was there fighting her husband, and telling him that leaving the house is over her dead body.
I advised you against the third party in your marriage. Didn't I?
You did.
She is experiencing serious difficulties in her home, but had never mentioned it to you. It's obvious that her marriage isn't working, and she wants yours to be the same as hers, if not worse. Did she notice your presence there?
I don't think she saw me. I also noticed that none of their neighbors cared to separate them, suggesting they were used to their fight.
And she never mentioned this particular issue to you. A wise woman builds her home, but the foolish one pulls it down with her own hands. Why did you even go there?
It's because of this issue. I was thinking she would have a clue on the person who sent the report to my husband, because Victor and I met around her place.
If you know, what will you do? Don't create more troubles for yourself.
Mama, what do I do?
The only advice I have for you now is to go back to your husband's house.
How do I face him? How do I make him believe I didn't fight anybody over a man?
In situations like this, I suggest you don't go looking for ways to make him believe you didn't do it.
So, I should accept what I didn't do.
Don't go defending yourself, or trying to prove a point. If he gives you the opportunity to explain yourself, you can tell him what happened, but if not, keep calm and behave yourself, time will tell.
Do you think he will let me in?
You know your husband more than I do. I'm not interested in you coming to me always if anything goes wrong with your marriage. Fix it with your husband. First thing tomorrow morning, you will pack your things and go back to your husband.
I want to go back today.
Ian, today?
Yes.
Okay, go and start preparing. Julian quickly dashed off for her room. Her mother watched in amazement. Julian seemed to have forgotten her anthem, which was waiting for her husband to crawl on his hands and knees and beg for her forgiveness. Immediately, Julian got into her room. She brought out her traveling bag from under her bed, and quickly dusted it with a piece of neat cloth. She selected the clothes and shoes she would use and set them aside. She then unzipped the traveling bag and kept it on the bed. She quickly started packing every other single thing she came back with. When she was done packing and arranging her belongings into the bag, she zipped it. She then took a towel and a soap dish, and left the room. She was going to have her bath at the outdoor bathroom. A few minutes later, she came back to the room with a towel, tied round her chest, and started dressing up. Soon after, she was all dressed up, and ready to leave. She carried the traveling bag and her handbag to the living room, where her mother was still seated.
Mama, I'm ready to go.
I didn't know you would be leaving unplanned like this. Wait a little, let me get some food items from the market.
No, Mama, I can't wait any longer.
If you insist, no problem. What about transport fare?
Don't worry, I have some money with me.
Okay. Remember to always be a good wife. You and Isaac need to build trust with each other. If you keep running to others with your problems, it can erode that trust. I don't want to hear stories again, please.
Okay, thank you, Mama.
Her mother stood up, and both of them walked out of the house, and headed to the road. When they got to the road, Julian boarded a motorcycle that would take her to the park. She entered the motorcycle with her bags, and they rode off, while her mother went back to the house. About an hour later, before noon, a cab stopped in front of Julian's husband's compound. The passenger's door was opened, and Julian came down with her handbag. The driver also got down, and moved to the trunk, opened it and brought down Julian's traveling bag. Julian carried the bag and headed for the compound, while the driver entered his vehicle and sped off. Julian got into the compound and met everywhere calm. It wasn't unusual, the absence of noises from usual morning activities was the reason. Julian's heart started skipping as she walked down to the entrance of their apartment. She had been pondering over the best way to approach her husband, and make him understand the truth.
I am sure that the whole place would be dusty and untidy. I will first of all pack all his dirty clothes. No. He uses the laundry. I will clean and arrange everywhere, go to the market, get some ingredients, and prepare his favorite meal. I know he would be happy to see me.
As she approached the entrance, she noticed that the door was half open. She stood still, waiting for the next thing to do, her heart racing faster. Her face was suddenly enveloped in indecision. She was constantly having a mixed feeling of pride and regret. She then summoned courage and decided to go in. Suddenly, the door was widely opened, and a lady walked out of the house. Julian was shocked to see that it was Amelia. She became frustrated. Amelia, on seeing her, decided not to lock the house. She gently walked up to her and greeted her.
You again, what are you doing in my house?
Ma'am, I understand how you feel. Please believe your husband. I wanted to apologize to you then, but I...
Get out of my face. If you don't leave here now, I will deal with you.
Amelia gently walked out of the compound. Julian quickly walked into the house. She kept her bags on the couch, in the living room, and started searching the room to see if her husband was there. She checked the rooms, but didn't see him. She went back to the living room.
So, she was here alone. As what? In my husband's house. This insult is becoming too much.
She quickly reached for her handbag and brought out her phone. She dialed her mother's number, and she picked it up immediately. Have you reached?
Yes, Mama. Can you imagine who I just saw?
Who did you see?
That same girl that my husband was having an affair with. She just left the house on sighting me, and my husband is not in the house. So, she now comes to the house at will.
Julian, you are just coming back to the house. Have some rest at least. Remember, you went back to make amends. Don't add to the pressure already.
Oh Mama, is this not an insult?
Ignore what you saw, focus on making your marriage work. Remember, he's also angry with you, concerning what he heard.
Why would he believe such a thing?
Make him know the truth.
How?
Evaluate your actions and try to make peace with him. Make him feel excited about having you around. Desist from making trouble. Make him your priority. That's the way you would even know who sent that picture to him.
I will try, Mama.
Have a nice day.
You too, Mama.
She gently carried her bags to her room. That was when she noticed that the whole rooms were cleaned and arranged. She opened the wardrobe and kept her bag. She checked the wardrobes, and noticed that there were no extra female wears in there. She was at ease for a moment, and then remembered all she had listed out to do. She went to the bathroom and quickly had her bath. Soon after, she was all dressed for the market. She wrote down the items for the proposed delicacy. She then headed to the kitchen to check whether there were things to be added to her list. She got to the kitchen and everywhere looked neat. A covered medium-sized enamel pot was seated on the gas stove. Opposite the gas stove was a covered stainless steel plate on a counter. Julian didn't check the cabinets for the unavailable items. She quickly went and lifted the lid of the pot. She saw an enticing soup, with chunks of chicken and fish. A warm, inviting aroma tickled her nose, and quickly spread around the kitchen. Julian quickly covered the pot angrily, believing that the soup could have been made by Amelia. She expectantly checked the stainless steel plate and saw jambalaya. The aroma quickly greeted her. She covered the plate immediately. The meal looked suspiciously inviting. Julian angrily went back to the room, forgetting that she was supposed to leave for the market. A few minutes later, Amelia was on her way back home. She brought out her phone, and dialed a number.
Sir, I'm leaving.
Thanks so much.
Your wife is back.
Oh really?
Yes.
Did she see you?
Yes.
Did she act up?
No.
Okay, thanks so much.
You are welcome, sir.
Talk to you later.
Okay.
Julian was seated restlessly on the couch. She was carrying a cup of tea. The beverage was the only edible item in the house, apart from the food Amelia prepared. Julian took solace on the beverage to quench the raging hunger, which was almost making her believe that a hungry man is an angry man. Julian didn't want her anger to be expressed, but it was almost taken over her. Soon after, Julian heard a screeching sound of a vehicle, indicating her husband had come back. She finished the remaining beverage in the cup, and wiped her mouth. She took the cup to the kitchen, and quickly came back to the living room, and sat down, waiting for her man to come in. In no time, she heard gentle knocks at the door. She went and opened the door.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Julian greeted nonchalantly, trying to avoid eye contact, or any physical touch. Her husband replied to her with the same energy, and left for the bedroom, while Julian stayed back in the living room. Some minutes later, Isaac came out for dinner. He noticed that there was no food on the dining table.
Babe, no dinner today?
Isaac left for the kitchen immediately. In no time, he came out with a tray containing a plate of jambalaya, with a bottle of water. The aroma alone promised a delicious reward for his long day. He had washed his hands in the kitchen. He carried the tray to the dining room, sat down, and started savoring the meal with so much joy. Julian sat on the couch, adjacent to the dining room, with her arms tightly crossed. Her face filled with controlled anger. She had expected her husband to say something about the person who prepared the meal. Julian refused to ask him any questions. She chose silent treatment, and emotional distance, to punish him for the wrongs he was doing. Isaac on the other hand had gotten tired of seeking peace. He wasn't ready yet to do what Julian expected from him. He too expected that Julian would come to beg to be forgiven, for what she did in the village. The atmosphere was tense with unspoken words from both ends. A few minutes later, Isaac took the last bite of the jambalaya, and scraped the bowl of soup clean. He then washed down the deliciousness with the chilled bottle of water, and finally carried the tray back to the kitchen. Isaac left for the bedroom immediately. This was the last Julian expected from her husband.
What is this man trying to prove? He doesn't want to address the lingering issue among us. He didn't even ask me about my journey, or my family. He wants me to come and beg him when he's supposed to clear the air, concerning that stupid girl. After all, I didn't do anything with my ex, he should know that.
Julian was still hungry but didn't want to touch the forbidden food, or make her husband notice it. She went into the bedroom and was disappointed to see that her husband was fast asleep, and snoring.
I knew it. He has changed. How could he have peace to sleep, when I'm not happy?
Julian was sad, but she utilized the opportunity well. She went back to the kitchen and brought out tins of beverages from the fridge. She scooped a reasonable quantity into a bigger mug, and boiled water. She prepared the tea and gulped it down like a tiff. After that, she went to bed and was able to fall asleep. The following morning, Julian continued keeping malice with her husband. She refused to get up from bed to prepare something for her husband. Fortunately for Isaac, the meal from the previous day still remained. He steamed it and ate it, before leaving for work. Immediately after he left for work, Julian got up and quickly left for a nearby shop. She bought packets of noodles, and some eggs. She came back and prepared them and ate. Later in the day, Isaac was less busy in his office. He picked up his phone and dialed Amelia's number. She picked up immediately.
Good day, sir.
Good day, how are you?
I'm fine.
My wife still hasn't changed. She is acting up simply because she saw you in the house. She had decided to neglect the report I got about her.
Try and make peace with her, please.
Not now. I'm not ready to make peace with anybody. I want to teach her a lesson.
How do you intend to do that?
I want you to keep coming.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Yes.
What if she becomes violent?
When that happens, I'll know what to do.
This isn't gonna be funny.
Leave everything for me.
If you insist, no problem.
I will reward you handsomely.
Okay.
Talk to you later, bye.
Bye.
In the evening, Isaac was back from work, but had nothing to eat. His wife sat comfortably, her face masked in sweet revenge. That morning, Julian got enough packets of noodles, and more than half a dozen eggs. She had made some noodles and eggs that would serve only her, and ate to her satisfaction, before Isaac came back. So, Isaac didn't see any food in the kitchen, and he had finished the one Amelia made for him. So he approached his wife in the living room.
Babe, no dinner today?
Tell that to your side chick.
Okay.
Isaac then left for the bedroom, and didn't come out again to meet her. Julian felt elated, that she got a pound of flesh. She has been looking for a way to pay back her husband, for allowing Amelia into their house. Soon after, Julian went to bed too. Both of them laid separately, each at one end of the bed, making a large space in between them. Julian stood and sat at the edge of the bed.
Useless man, you have gone to bed with an empty stomach. You are playing with me. You will continue eating that food that your mistress cooked for you, until you are tired.
The following day, Julian was still in bed pretending to be asleep, when Isaac got up. He performed his morning routine, and went to the living room and stayed. It was already past the time that Isaac usually leaves for work, but he was still at home. It was obvious he wasn't going to work that day, but Julian didn't care to know the reason.
Maybe it's a work-free day for him.
About an hour later, Julian was in the room going through her phone, when she heard a female voice giggling with her husband in the living room. She was startled.
Who could it be? I hope it's not what I'm thinking.
Julian's heart started skipping. She quickly got up from the bed and tiptoed into the lobby. She then peeped, and was shocked to see that it was Amelia again. Amelia looked hot in a skimpy gown. She was seated on the couch with easy confidence, conversing with Isaac on an unknown topic. A nylon bag fully stocked, was on the floor before her. Isaac was relaxing, all attentive and smiling sheepishly. Their expressions were a dagger to Julian's heart. Julian stood enraged, her eyes wide in disbelief at what was going on. Soon after, she left for the bedroom. A few minutes later, Amelia entered the kitchen, while Isaac stayed back in the living room. Julian became furious. She felt betrayed. Amelia was more than just a woman cooking in her kitchen, a blatant disregard for her feelings, and a public humiliation. Her kitchen was now a stage for a performance she hadn't consented to. She wanted to confront her again, but something stopped her. She quickly picked up her phone and entered into the bathroom. She dialed her mother's number. She picked it up immediately.
Mama, see what this man is doing to me.
What is it again?
Isaac is disrespecting me. That girl is here again to cook for him.
Did you cook and he refused to eat it? You didn't cook for your husband and you expect him not to eat food.
Mama, I was just trying to pass a message.
Which message are you passing? Stop competing with your husband, it will only bring disaster to your home. I'm sure you are the one who made him change.
Why are you now blaming me?
Your husband wasn't like this before you traveled, you created that gap. Swallow your pride and fix your home. Don't call me again concerning the matter. Just before Julian could reply, her mother ended the call. Julian was agape.
Mama has ended the call. If I do what is on my mind now, they will say that Julian has started.
Julian came out of the bathroom, and stayed in the bedroom, refusing to come out. A couple of hours later, an aroma of a tantalizing fried rice and grilled meat filled the whole apartment, indicating the food was ready. Soon after, Amelia served Isaac the mouth-watery delicacy on the dining table. Isaac went to the dining room and rushed the food like a hungry lion. Amelia ate too. Soon after, both of them left the house together. Amelia and Isaac were in the car driving out of the compound. They were comfortable with each other and conversing.
Are you sure your wife was in the house?
Yes.
I didn't see her.
She was in the bedroom.
Like seriously, she was there all through the time I was cooking.
Yes.
She has changed then.
Why did you say that?
Your wife that I know would attack me on sighting me.
She wouldn't do that when I'm around.
Isaac then headed to Amelia's place. At Isaac's house, Julian came out immediately she noticed they'd driven out. She stood by the entrance of their apartment, looking disappointed. Even though she was in the bedroom all through Amelia's stay, she wasn't at peace with herself, nor thinking straight to even have her bath. Later on, she went back into the room. She realized she hadn't had her bath, nor even had her breakfast. She caged herself in the room because of a stranger. In just a few hours, she lost some kilos from her weight. It seems she was still the one suffering the consequences of her actions. Some minutes later, Isaac arrived at Amelia's place and stopped the car. He picked up his phone from the cup holder and made some transactions in Amelia's bank account. In no time, Amelia's phone beeped. She quickly checked her phone and confirmed the payment of a certain amount.
Thank you so much, sir.
You are welcome.
Can I come again in the evening?
No, I'm going to the hospital.
Is it not late for today's work?
I'm on night duty. I'll just hang around till evening.
I can still keep you company till then.
Don't worry. I'm fine.
Okay, have a nice day.
You too. Thanks again for coming around.
You were welcome.
They waved at each other and Isaac drove off. At Isaac's house, Julian was alone in the house. She lay in bed sulking over the recent activities in her house. She felt lonely and isolated. She started reflecting on the recent happenings.
Tracy hasn't even called for a long time. She would have been the best person to advise me on this matter. It's quite strange that I haven't heard from her in a while. Maybe someone informed her that I came around while they were fighting. Let me just let her be. Besides, she never mentioned to my hearing that she fights with her husband. Why should I even tell her about this? I've been the only one telling her about my woes. I've played a fool for a long time. I think it's time to make a difference. My husband's character is changing by the day.
She suddenly felt a slight discomfort in her stomach.
Now I see that I'm alone in this race. No one cares about my feelings anymore. I'm here hurting myself, while the person I'm trying to deal with is busy enjoying himself. He didn't even notice me. This attitude of his started when I left for my parents' house. I shouldn't have left in the first place. He has never disrespected me openly before. I need to change before it's too late. I will let go of some things. I'll simply beg him for forgiveness when he comes back home.
Suddenly, her stomach gave a loud embarrassing growl that echoed in the quiet room. The tantalizing aroma of the food suddenly tickled her nose, as if it were telling her to take action against the growl.
How long will I continue eating noodles and eggs? Will anything even happen if I eat that food?
Julian left for the kitchen immediately in a reflex action. When she got to the kitchen and opened the pot of fried rice, she took a small spoon, scooped a little from the pot and ate. The taste was a revelation. She quickly picked up a plate and dished a reasonable quantity into the plate. She carried it to the dining room. As soon as she got to the dining room, she started eating.
If I prepare another meal now when this one is here, he may not eat it. I need to let go of some things.
She felt a strange paradox of pleasure and pain. On each spoon, she felt a complex whirlwind of emotions, feeling like her husband was having a taste of better food.
I won't let this girl cook again in my house. If he continues eating her food, he won't even care about me again. I started this quarrel, and I will stop it. Immediately he comes back, I will beg him for forgiveness. I don't care about who's at fault.
When she was done eating, she carried the plate to the kitchen, and washed it and every other dirty plate. She cleaned up the kitchen, and every other room that looked dirty. She went back to the room feeling like a new person. She felt like a heavy burden was lifted from her shoulders. Some hours later, in the evening, Julian was in the living room, watching a television program, and eagerly waiting for her husband to come home. Later on, Isaac was still not home, and Julian was growing tired of waiting. She became worried. She then picked up her phone and dialed his number.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hello.
You are not coming home yet?
Yes, I'll be back tomorrow morning.
Okay, see you tomorrow then.
The following morning, Isaac got back from work. Before he could even knock, Julian had opened the door to his greatest surprise.
Good morning, honey.
Isaac watched her without replying to the greeting. She looked sweaty, her eyes puffy and with a runny nose. Seems she had cried all night. He thought at first that Julian was playing an emotional blackmail on him. He pretended like he didn't notice her emotions. Immediately he came in, Julian gently knelt before him, and started pleading for forgiveness amidst tears. It melted Isaac's heart, and he quickly forgot all the grievances he had in mind. He held her up, and they both went into the bedroom. Julian then stood before him, though avoiding eye contact.
I'm sorry for all the things I've done wrong. I will not neglect my responsibilities again. I will live and respect you all the days of my life. Please forgive me.
Just before Isaac could speak, his phone started ringing. He brought it out of his pocket, and they both saw it was Amelia who was calling.
Please tell her to stop coming. It hurts me badly to see her around you.
Isaac picked up the call and switched on the loudspeaker, so that both of them could hear the conversation.
Hello, sir.
Amelia, how are you?
I'm fine, sir. I want to know if I can come today.
No need of coming around. We have reconciled.
Wow. I'm happy for the both of you. I wish I could come and tell her by myself that all these were game to teach her a lesson.
I'll let her know.
If not for the money you paid me, I wouldn't have accepted to do this. I can imagine the pain she had been through then.
It's all right. I'll talk to you later.
So, all these while, you both have been playing games on me.
Yes, Amelia was never my girlfriend. She was just a lady that I wanted to help out. I brought her closer because I wanted to make you feel jealous. She's a nice person.
I never knew about your plans, and I almost ruined myself. Even though you may not believe me, I will tell you all that happened when I went out to see my ex.
Go ahead.
Julian went on and narrated everything to her husband the way it happened, without mincing words.
I believe you.
Julian was surprised. She felt he wanted to mock her, but he went ahead to give her his reasons.
I never trusted the sender.
Who sent it, please?
Tracy.
What? Do you know Tracy, my friend?
Your friend indeed. I have known her even before we married.
Are you for real?
Yes, I wanted to marry her before.
What?
Yes, I'll tell you what happened. I got a job immediately after I finished my youth service. My uncle, on hearing the news about my getting a job, quickly suggested that I needed to get married and start up a family, because I am an only child, and an orphan. I accepted and asked him to get a good wife for me from the village. He got Tracy. I agreed to marry her. We later fixed a date to go and see her people. We were preparing how to go, only to be informed that she was pregnant with another man's child. My uncle went to their place and confirmed the news, and discovered it was true. We cancelled the introduction immediately, and I disconnected from her. Soon after, I forgot everything about marriage, and even went ahead to further my education, while I was working. She was never happy that I left her. Even when she was already pregnant for another man, she never wanted my people to know about the pregnancy. I would have fathered another man's child. Now I see why she wanted to ruin my home. All those while, she was inciting me to believe you were cheating on me. If I had known that you were speaking with her, I would have stopped it.
My God. I'm so sorry for everything.
No problem. I have forgiven you.
Some days later, Isaac gave Amelia a huge amount of money to start up her dream business. She never went back to her former business. Julian also came up with something to keep her busy. She chose to learn a trade. Later, she started learning the trade. 2 months on, she got pregnant. After 6 months of starting the learning, Julian was certified and approved. So, Isaac set up her own business for her. When it was the due date for Julian's pregnancy, she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. They were both happy. They lived happily ever after.